New York, in the heart of Manhattan. It's home to the New York International Auto Show, the second big motor show to take place on U.S. soil this year. Bernd Meyer from Porsche says it's a trade fair. Between 800,000 and 1 million people visited the show last year, and just as many were expected this year. He says here on the East Coast, that makes a real statement. Porsche presented the newest addition to its lineup here, the 2016 Boxster Spyder. It's powered by a 3.8-liter six-cylinder direct injection engine, and unusually for a convertible, it boasts a top speed of 290 kilometers an hour, though it can only reach that speed with the roof shut due to the aerodynamics. Toyota had one of the biggest stands at the car show. The Japanese automaker presented its entire product range. One of the most eagerly awaited new models was the RAV4 Hybrid.
Well, the RAV4 has become one of our most important vehicles here in the U.S. The segment is growing faster than any segment in the industry here and has been for the last couple years.
The RAV4 Hybrid runs on a gasoline engine and an electric motor. Toyota hopes it will set new standards when it comes to energy efficiency. Meanwhile, Lexus presented the next generation of its successful RX. Almost 3 million of the luxury crossovers have been sold to date. The trunk of the new model opens by holding your hand over the Lexus logo. Lexus expects to bring the model to market by the end of the year. Volkswagen's new Golf Alltrack made its U.S. debut in New York. This trend-setting station wagon could really make a splash in the American market, as VW's Heinz Jakob Neusser explains. He says the Golf Alltrack fills the gap between big SUVs and sedans and offers people the chance to go off-road as well as on-road. One of the highlights of the show in New York was the presentation of the World Car of the Year Awards. 75 automotive journalists from 25 countries voted for their favorites in 5 categories. The votes were then counted by a major independent auditing firm. Ina Mattes is impressed by the fact that the results aren't known beforehand. KPMG tallies up the votes, and the results are a surprise to everyone here. This year, the most coveted trophy for World Car of the Year 2015 went to the Mercedes C-Class. It's a Mercedes in a traditional segment. Christoph Horn says its design is fresh and new, yet classic, and people love that. At Mercedes, they think that the C-Class's interior design is the best in its segment. And obviously, many of the jury thought the same thing. The Seat show car, Vision Vente. Normally, concept cars like this are made to look at, but aren't suitable to drive. Our test driver Matis Kurat says today is the exception because he'll be taking the Vision Vente for a spin. The Vente is the Spanish manufacturer's first SUV-influenced model. It's designed to be both practical and elegant. Matis starts the car with a push of a button.
Welcome, Matthias. Today you have scheduled to go to the circuit. Your best lap here is 6 minutes and 18 seconds. Car is ready and weather conditions are favorable.
He's pleasantly surprised to hear the car call him by name, even if it's the wrong one. But then Matis sounds like a more common moniker, so he's used to it. The personalized welcome is part of the Vente's futuristic service and infotainment concept. Matis points out that he doesn't expect a show car to perform like a series production model. The seats in this prototype aren't well upholstered, and the suspension isn't very well tuned yet. The motor is loud too, but then Seat's concept car is to provide an idea of the future of motoring.
die Modelle der Zukunft vorstellen.
The Vente makes a powerful impression with a dynamically striking front end. Seat is especially proud of the car's side profile with its accentuated lines, as seen here in the outside mirror. With its 20-inch wheels, the Vision Vente has its feet firmly on the ground. The wheel rims were designed specially for the show car. The exterior's combination of sporty dynamics and striking contours is matched by the car's interior. The dominant materials, leather, aluminum, glass, and glossy plastic, are high quality and crafted with attention to detail. We wouldn't expect anything less in a concept car. Backseat passengers can follow the travel route on a display screen. Mata says he was fascinated by his test drive with the Vision Vente, Seat's impressive concept for its future models. He jokes that there is something even more impressive, an extra that might come with the car. This little electric vehicle thingy. It fits perfectly in the trunk and is designed so you don't even have to walk the last few meters from your parking spot to work, the shopping center, or home for that matter. Matas begins to sum up his experience, but it's not over. Maybe a special driver's license should be required for this extra equipment. Matas, at any rate, swears that in the future, he'll restrict himself to driving cars.
Also, ich beschränke mich dann, glaube ich, weiterhin aufs Autofahren. Ja. Oh.
Bentley is revamping the Continental GT series. The new front bumper and a smaller grille are among the new features. The fenders have also been redesigned and now have vents. The new top performance GT Speed, which comes with a W12 engine, is now even more powerful and a little more economical, with fuel consumption of 14.1 liters per 100 kilometers. Audi's new Q7 aims to inject a bit of oomph in the full-size SUV segment. The German automaker is the first to offer a diesel hybrid model. Audi has combined the tried and tested 3.0 TDI engine with an electric engine to put out a performance of 275 kilowatts and fuel consumption of just 1.7 liters of diesel per 100 kilometers. The Q7's electric engine can cover a distance of 56 kilometers.
Test
driver Reinhold Deisenhofer says the Subaru Forester is in the same niche as the Hyundai Santa Fe, Nissan's Qashqai, and Toyota's RAV4, but also as premium models like the Audi Q3, the Mercedes-Benz GLK, and BMW's X3. So what's with Subaru, he asks? Quite simply, Subaru is the world's largest producer of all-wheel drive cars. For example, in the United States, Subaru sells more vehicles than Volkswagen does. Reason enough to take a closer look at the Subaru Forester. It's in the same league as the VW Tiguan. In 2015, Subaru is expanding the choice of engine and transmission combinations for the Forester. For the first time, this SUV is also available as a diesel with the Lineartronic continuously variable automatic transmission. Reinhold says the interior of the new Forester has changed a lot. The cockpit feels modern, and the navigation system with its piano black finish looks chic and functions much better than in the predecessor. The linear-tronic transmission is also new. The gear ratio is stepless and makes for smooth shifts. That wasn't the case in the predecessor, whose directional stability wasn't perfect. With the Forester, you can take a leisurely cruise. It's never pretended to be a race car. CVT stands for Continuously Variable Transmission. Initially, this linear-tronic transmission was available only in combination with gasoline engines. But the high-torque linear-tronic system developed by the Schaeffler company has made it possible to apply this efficient and comfortable transmission concept to the higher torque produced by the diesel boxer engine. Optically, the Forester radiates power, but the design also signals the car's high level of comfort. The gentle curve of the front windows results in a flowing silhouette. Nothing in the car's 4.6-meter length offends the eye. Under the hood is the 2.0-liter diesel boxer engine. Boxer engines are characterized by the low level of vibration they transmit to the interior. Our test car generates 108 kilowatts and consumes 6.3 liters of fuel per 100 kilometers. The sport version with linear-tronic costs just over 40,000 euros in Germany. The interior is built for comfort. That goes for the seats, and front or back, there is ample legroom. The trunk holds a respectable 505 liters of cargo. The back seats can be folded down separately using a lever. That expands the storage space to 1,577 liters. Reinhold says Subaru worked hard on redesigning the new Forester, which is still the best in its class off-road. Earlier problems with the sat-nav and the interior have been solved. Both are now state-of-the-art. No other model in this segment has a boxer diesel. Even at low revs, the Subaru Forester has power to burn and is fun to drive. No wonder it's seen so often on mountain roads, even in the Alps. These are the sporting purists from the Porsche family. It's GTS models. Test driver Klaus Nietzsche says there's a newcomer to the 911 series, the Targa GTS. You might ask why. Well, some people want a car that differs from the basic model, one that's sportier, more powerful. And the Targa GTS also has a different suspension for better road handling. And where's the best place to test it? On a racetrack, and that's where Klaus is, on the Ascari racetrack in southern Spain. As for a former racing driver, Klaus is eager to test the GTS in the Sport Plus version, with the electronic stability system turned off. He takes the Targa top model to its limits. Klaus's first impressions: the engine has real bite, 430 horsepower. No one needs that much, but here on a racetrack it enables him to drive very fast laps. Klaus says the engine responds as soon as you press the gas pedal. The car takes off like a rocket.
Das heißt, das Ding schießt richtig nach vorne. Jetzt geht's ab.
The Targa GTS has a 6-cylinder, 316-kilowatt boxer engine that launches it from 0 to 100 kilometers an hour in 4.3 seconds. Hard to top, but power like that calls for a suspension to match. Klaus says the chassis is a centimeter closer to the road than the standard Targa, enabling it to take curves faster. The car's aerodynamics help it hug the road. A higher rear spoiler also helps it take curves faster, and that's what Klaus will do now. The rear swings out a bit, says Klaus. Ha, what fun! As far as the Targa GTS's design goes, Porsche knows exactly what pleases sports car fans, like matte black, 20-inch wheel rims with central locking. The roll bar is a Targa trademark. The steering wheel's synthetic suede finish pampers the driver's hands. And in its GTS models, Porsche provides a treat for sports car fans' ears. Bernd Müller, a Porsche engineer, says the Targa GTS has a choice of vents for the exhaust, including one that's unthrottled. That boosts engine performance, but also adds to the sound. Our vehicle tester likes that you can drive this Targa with the roof down. Though you sit in a relatively enclosed cockpit, you feel the wind and the speed. It's really fun to drive, very sporty, but quite a smooth ride. It's very quick and feels very positive. Thanks to the four-wheel drive, he says, you always have enough power coming out of the bend. And the 430 horsepower engine gives it plenty of oomph. Klaus is now going to do a country road test. After all, he says, that's where most people will be driving their Targa GTS. Luckily, there are some picturesque country roads in southern Spain. And what could be better than to be traveling along in a convertible when the weather is fine? The Targa is also more comfortable than most of the 911 series, and dynamic to boot. Klaus says the Targa is a really nice convertible that's also suitable for everyday use. His conclusion? This Targa GTS is a perfect car, both in terms of performance on the racing track and for taking it easy on country roads. The €137,000 price tag, however, does put him off a bit, and also means that the pleasure will remain reserved for the select few.
Und ich denke mal, so viele kommen nicht in den Genuss, dieses Auto hier zu erleben.
So lean back and enjoy. You can always dream that you're taking the Targa GTS out for a spin. It's like something from a science fiction film, and yet it really exists. The legendary Mercedes-Benz C111. Most young people are surprised to find out how old it is. 46, positively middle-aged. For car buffs on the wrong side of 50, it brings back childhood memories. The C111 featured in a card game, and it was also available as a battery-powered model car. It's a pity that it never made it out onto the road. As Michael Bock, head of Mercedes-Benz Classic, explains, it was presented as an experimental vehicle, and that's what it remained. Back then, they wanted to test whether it was possible to serially produce a vehicle with a fiberglass chassis and produce a small production run for the U.S. market, but that idea didn't last long. Mercedes engineers continued to develop their baby, far beyond the concept car stage. It made its first appearance at the Frankfurt International Motor Show in 1969. The car broke new ground in terms of both engineering and design. The first model included a 280 horsepower, 3-rotor Wankel engine with top speeds of 270 kilometers an hour. In 1970, Mercedes presented a thoroughly revised version of the C111 with a 4-rotor, 350 horsepower Wankel engine. The two-seater could accelerate from standstill to 100 kilometers per hour in 4.9 seconds. But there were a number of arguments against launching a series production. The Wankel engine was a gas guzzler with little torque, and it wasn't reliable or durable enough to meet the carmaker's standards. Yet there was no question of terminating the C111 project. The engineers and designers had put their hearts and souls into it. Many were keen to reinvent Mercedes, and they were enthusiastic about the motorsport technology in the rear suspension, where the wheels boasted 3 wishbones and 2 trailing arms. Michael Bock of Mercedes-Benz Classic says that the Mercedes Motorsport department, which had achieved outstanding successes in the 1930s and had, in principle, won the Formula One World Championships twice in the 1950s, together with Fangio, still existed in R&D. And they were driven by the desire to build sports cars alongside the sedans and station wagons. And they engaged with this topic with the knowledge of subsequent developments in the field. He says they constructed this vehicle with the help of computers, with the aim of using as few aerodynamic aids as possible. The shape of the chassis alone should be enough, and they were extremely successful. A sports car with no spoilers. That's pretty unusual. Mercedes achieved the necessary aerodynamic qualities with the car's streamlined wedge-shaped design. But it was the vehicle's head-turning chassis that was another main obstacle to mass production. It was made of fiberglass reinforced plastic, and at that time, the material couldn't provide sufficient stability. It also didn't meet contemporary safety standards. Crumple zones were out of the question. Plastic doesn't buckle, it snaps. Despite its impressive performance and appearance, the Wankel engine and reinforced plastic chassis meant that the riding was on the wall for the C111. Its wedge design seemed almost revolutionary for the rather conservative Mercedes brand, and helped give the company a facelift. The car might have looked completely new on the outside, but in the inside it screamed Mercedes. Nothing here seems to have been designed specially for the C111. In all likelihood, the horizontally fitted radio arose from necessity rather than by design. The cockpit was pretty cramped. In this C111, there's no rotor-driven Wankel engine, nor any piston-driven diesel engine. In 1970, Mercedes installed gasoline engines in 2 cars. Their performance data might not be as impressive as the earlier models, but it's still easy to understand the lure of the C111. In fact, allegedly, Mercedes was sent blank checks in the post after they presented the car at the IAA in Frankfurt, and a few months later at the Geneva Motor Show. More than a dozen versions of the C111 were built, but none of them were ever put up for sale. They stand in Mercedes' own museum, and no doubt in some secret garages somewhere. There is no market for these cars, and there probably never will be. This C111, like all the rest, is unique, a one-off, Its value? Hard to say. Priceless? Certainly. It must be worth at least several million euros.